All right, I'm being told that the state and the defense agree that the sentence that the court is going to impose is for counts 2 and count 6.
Yes, sir. I advise Mr. Gamble that after doing some additional research, or some initial research rather, on that particular question, that I think that 4 and 5 would merge with count 2, and that being the case, the state's position is that the court should sentence on count 2 and count 6, which I understand is the defense position as well.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's all right. I'll hear from the state first.
The state proposes that the appropriate sentence in this case would be a sentence of life in prison on count 2, with a sentence of 20 years consecutive on count 6. I understand that Ms. Poague is very young. I think this is the terrible tragedy of these kinds of cases. I have a baby as a victim, and who was at the time a teenager as the defendant, and I think that the jury's verdict. It's not always very possible to get an interpretation of what the jury might have been thinking, but I think if you look at the way the verdict is structured, that it suggests to me, at least, that by finding a not guilty on malice murder, that there was a belief that there was not evidence of a specific, essentially a specific intent to kill or a deliberate intention to kill, and that would be the distinction between count 1 and the remaining counts. And from my perspective in proposing a sentence, if I consider that or accept that as a finding of fact of sorts, that there's evidence of malice, that there's evidence of disregard, conscious disregard for the consequences of her actions, then I feel justified in asking for consecutive time. But if I do not believe that the evidence supported this jury in making a finding of a deliberate intention to kill, such as would support a malice murder conviction, then I'd feel constrained to leave the recommendation at life without parole. At life in prison as opposed to life without parole.
We recognize felony murder. I don't think if they're recommending life with parole, that's as lenient as a sentence could be under that particular charge. I don't think you can go below life in prison for a felony murder charge.
Right.
So we don't dispute that. We would ask, though, Your Honor, the cruelty to children, they're asking for consecutive 20 years. If you put that on there, you're coming very close to being life without parole, in that she will not come up for parole currently for 30 years and then add 20 more to it. Would be very close to her entire lifetime. And we would ask the court to consider, you've heard the evidence and you know generally what the whole circumstances were. She was 18 years old at the time, a young girl that had not had any trouble with the law, any problems, and was doing well. Now, obviously, she's accused of a horrendous crime that we fought about in court, but we accept the jury has made a verdict, whether I agree with it or not. So she has to now face what the consequences are of that.
All right, Ms. Poague, if you'll stand up, please. I don't do a lot of speaking when I'm passing the sentence. I've heard the case, and I've considered the tragedy on the left side, on my left side, and on the right side, and there's a lot of tragedy to go around here. The whole time that I'm hearing a case, I think about what the appropriate sentence would be. And this conduct all led, in my opinion, to the offense of felony murder. Even the charge that, would have merged with count 3, but does not because count 3 is vacated by count 2. That's a lot of technical jargon. But the bottom line is you're going to receive a sentence of life in prison, which is the appropriate sentence for the conduct that you have been convicted of. and that is going to essentially be the sentence that the court passes in this case. You will be sent on. So on count 2, I sentenced the defendant to serve life in prison, and on count 6, I sentenced the defendant to serve 20 years in the state penitentiary. Those sentences will run concurrent. I do wish to advise you, Ms. Poague, that you have 30 days to appeal. You also have 4 years within which you could seek habeas corpus. I hope this can bring some closure to the family. It's just a complete tragedy, and I hope that you can, in your older days, have some sort of life after serving this sentence.